Now, something you might not know is that I'm a full-time fireman and this is my company car. Now, you might be surprised, but that was a lie. But what isn't a lie is that the Audi Q6 e-tron might just be Audi's best ever EV. Let me explain. Now, as mentioned, we are in the Audi Q6 e-tron, and what we're going to do to make this video a bit easier to swallow is break things down into segments, starting off with looks, both inside and out, how it drives, how much space it has, how efficient it is, performance, rivals, and of course, the price. Now, straight off the bat, the Audi Q6 e-tron is Audi's biggest EV. Now, there is no taking away from the fact that this color is bright as the sun, Sonera red. It's not really for me. The red on black works on some cars, but in an SUV, like I said, it just gives off pure fireman vibes. What spec I would go for is this one, Manhattan Grey on the Q6 e-tron. Yes, it just looks very nice. Now, the spec for me is still not working. On the S-Line trim, you are stuck with 20-inch alloys. If you drop down to the Sport, you get 19. And if you go up to the Edition 1s, you get 21s. But again, on this spec, with Manhattan Grey and these alloys, again, I think it works. Now, on the S-Line trim, as standard, you get LED headlights. And they look great. And what's quite cool is because of the chrome, you get reflections off your paint colour. So it looks quite naughty. Edition 1, matrix headlights, but these do the job. And when they're on, they look nice. Again, the S-Line trim does work. Look at this new steering wheel that Audi are making. Bottom and top, flat steering wheel. I don't know what to call it anymore. Flat bottom, top steering wheel. One thing I do like is righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. If you want to close the vents, twist it to the right. And if you want to open, twist it to the left. It's the same across the front dash. So it's a lot easier when faffing around. Because when you put it in efficiency, or efficiency plus for that matter, it gets quite cold in here sometimes because it shuts off the AC. So you probably just want to twist that quickly and you're at the races. Something else that's quite cool but also quite weird is that Audi are giving this away for free. Not the car, just this. So this is the sound and vision pack. Of course you get the B&O system, but what you also get is augmented reality. So your heads-up display isn't just a heads-up display. It tells you everything from your driving, navigation, to it tells you everything. It's super creepy, but it's also very cool. And what you also get is, for example, when you're indicating, you get these little flashes there. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of all this new tech because, again, you still have to turn certain things off when you want to proper go for a send. But look at this. You cannot knock this. We've got a 14.5-inch screen here for our infotainment. And over here for the driver, you've got an 11.9 cluster. So in terms of visibility, it is an SUV. What do you expect? You're going to get a good sight off the road, but not always the best sight when it goes to the right. We'll touch on that in a sec. Now, driving this thing day to day is great. You've got the augmented heads-up display, which is great, especially if you use the native nav, because that way you see every single direction in front of you. There's no excuse for taking a wrong turn, but while you do take your turn, you've got to be careful because this line is quite high. Now, I'm talking you're taking a right turn or your left turn, for example, and you just want to make sure you don't clip the curb. This line is very high. Now, I know I am sat down quite low because that's how I like to feel the car, but when you do take a turn, for example this left turn up ahead, I've got to be so careful not to clip the curb because the turning circle is great, but it also means I just can't see the edge here. So I hope you get what I'm trying to say here. It is a tad bit risky. You make the turn and you're like, whew, each time. I made it without scratching the side of my car. Not the greatest feeling. And now, in case I haven't told you, this is the Quattro version. Now, you have two versions, the rear-wheel drive and the Quattro. Yes, an Audi with rear-wheel drive. Now, something that Audi have done very, very well is that no matter what spec you have, in short, no matter how much money you have, if you're desperate to get this car, you can. You can get it in the Sport trim, which is the lowest trim you can get, and you can get that in rear-wheel drive and Quattro. I like that. But for me, an SUV, big off-road use, and just having the ability to ferry the kids around or whatever you want to carry around with you all year round, rain, shine, snow, Quattro. It's an Audi. You got to get the Quattro. Now, when you do go back into the inner city, you can press the drive select button down there and you have 5 options. But I love the fact that just one click of that button airs everything out, and by airing everything out I mean air, because this is actually on air suspension, hence why when it is in comfort this thing is buttery smooth. Bearing in mind it's an S-Line. Most S-Lines in the past tend to be a bit more firm. I know it more of a looks thing, but an S-Line compared to a standard car will probably have bigger wheels, and with the bigger wheels you lose a bit of comfort. But this being an S-Line and not the sport model, you're riding on a cloud, excuse the pun. And once we do get into more open roads, back into dynamic, 2.3, that's the weight, 2,300 kilograms. Do you feel the weight? Yes. Again, there are rivals in this bracket that could feel a tad bit more sporty, but at the end of the day, this is the quattro version, so you are going to get more power, but that also comes with a bit more weight, and you don't feel it unless you're doing something stupid. And the question is, how stupid are you to be sending an SUV? Says the guy who's been sending an SUV for the last 30 minutes. Now, talking all things space, you cannot knock it. It's an SUV. You've got a 2-part sunroof, which really helps to brighten things up. It is optional, so you're gonna have to spec it. Again, with the S-Line trim, you unfortunately have only manual seats. There is no electric seat option. You have to go up to the Edition 1. In the rear, as expected, loads of headspace and loads of rear space. You also have heated seats in the back and charging just down there. Something to note is that the cabin isn't ridiculously huge, but what you can see is that the boot really is. It's dangerously big. Like, I'm talking 2 bodies from the East End could fit in there straight into the I don't know why I'm talking like that. I think I watched something on Netflix called Havoc the other day. Now I just think I'm a gangster. And as we were talking about knobs earlier, which sounds actually quite wrong, if we go into efficiency, you actually have 2 modes. You've got efficiency, which slackens everything off, but you also have efficiency plus, which gives you a bit more range. But something you might notice is that the AC no longer works. So if it is a cold day and you want to get more range, you're probably gonna have to turn on your heated seat, because Tim tip, heated seats use less energy than AC. There you go. Save that one and send it to your auntie. I don't know where I just got that phrase from. Now, talking all things range, we're quoted 348 miles on this particular model. It goes up to 360 on a rear-wheel drive version, but 348 really means between 290 to 310 miles on a full battery, if you're lucky. And again, if you probably utilize the efficiency plus setting, that is okay. Again, this is a heavy boy. We'll touch on some other options later on, but for a car this weight, with all the features that it comes with, are you happy with 348 miles? Do you actually do more than that in a week? Do you do more than 290 miles in a week? If the answer is no, bearing in mind I have done around 250 miles so far, I'm good. I'm good with that. So I've made some notes in terms of the highest miles you can get from Audi's current lineup of EVs. Now, the A6 Sport, again, I think it's all the lowest spec. A6 Sport, 464 miles. Q4, 351. Q6, this shape, 406. And the e-tron GT, 375. Now, 464 being the highest and 375 miles being the lowest. 406 miles is the happy medium. It probably is the happy medium. Let's be brutally honest. 464 would be great, but an A6 isn't big. This is the sweet spot. So when it comes to performance, with this being the quattro version, you have that safety net off, especially in the wet, not ending up on the wrong side off the road. Now, what I will say is it's a heavy boy. So don't push it into corners hoping that it will just rotate as if you're driving, I don't know, a Caterham, because it won't. If you want performance, SQ6. Now, it's not going to be an e-tron GT in any single race, but the performance, as mentioned, bearing in mind the weight, is more than enough. Enough punch to overtake when needed, and enough punch to get you out of a city situation. Again, the SQ6 is probably the car if you're a pure performance head, but if you're just a guy that likes a bit of space and appreciates a sharp-ish SUV, this is the one. Now, bone spec, cheaper spec you can buy, this car retails for £61,000. Now, let's put that into perspective. The BMW iX3 goes for £65,000. Tesla Model Y, £45,000. The Mercedes EQE SUV, £76K. The Porsche Macan, £68K. You see the numbers there. Which one would you buy actually? Because I know which one I would. I also know what I would do if I was an absolute legend, and that is smash the thumbs up button on this video, the Audi Q6 e-tron. Subscribe if you're new to the channel, and I'll see all of your beautiful faces in the next one. Take care and God bless.